isn't gonna be easy to say.
But it has to be said. Just say problematic.
Eternals.
We haven't even made our POV video and they're already here for us.
We just finished Eternals by Marvel. Many thoughts to be had about it.
Many thoughts to be thunk.
Honko Thunkers. Doing a lot of thunkers. There were only 5 characters that made me want to live, laugh, eat, love.
And the rest of them made me want to cry.
Screaming, crying right now. Those 5 characters are Druid, Makari, their interactions especially.
And the arm muscle. Anyways.
Gargantry?
Can we go back? I can't even remember my favorite characters.
Kingo and Karen.
Karoon.
I knew she
My
was.
Icarus. Hate. Just hate. I mean, it's just hate. I can see the Kitty. It's just in the grave. Yes.
Kitty? Kitty. Kitty. Kitty.
Hello, Kitty. Hello.
Welcome. Welcome to the room.
So, Dini, what are your thoughts on Icarus? Yeah, right, just
Bites him.
A large percentage of you guys are not subscribed. Those who watch us, our videos are not subscribing, which is a really big problem, which means you can't profit off of you guys. Please subscribe so we can get rich. And this is a really big problem because I want money.
I just need money. And fame. And a big ego. You guys feel my ego? Okay. What did you think, Bobby? What are your thoughts? So, the point of this video.
Yeah, it's just what we wanted to say.
There's 5 characters we liked. And there were some we hated.
Wait, I want to hear your psychoanalysis on Druid.
Okay.
Alright, we have a to-do list.
There's one person, a little friend, Stevie.
The yassification of the deviants was not something
I just... He was a little too attractive.
This is not smash or pass.
I don't think you guys understand the maximum amount of yassification that happened to this man. I mean, he's tall. Perfect with... Oh, I just spat. So,
We've all seen Encanto, right? And I'm no philosophy major. Encanto does a very good job representing toxic family dynamics. In this movie, it's a very good thing to base on, like the toxic family dynamic. The difference between Encanto and Eternals is that Encanto is about actual family, okay? Spanning across more than one generation, and so there's like one big trauma that changes the entire family. Like Abuela loses her family. You know, she loses everything and gets this one huge miracle that happened in ways she couldn't even comprehend. And that traumatizes her. And she's like given this magic that she needs to like help everybody because she needs to prove herself. That kind of thing. That changes the entire family.
Each of her 3 kids have a gift that Abuela wished she had whenever her husband died.
so, Eternals. Who we're talking about though? Ajak is very much the mother figure. I mean, she heals, like her thing, you know. Erisham?
The Titan guy?
Erisham is very much the
Boomer?
representation of the past, and basically Erisham kind of represents the immovable object that they're all forcing themselves through. He's the trauma, basically. He is the trauma, you know? As opposed to Abuela's past trauma, like Erisham is the trauma.
He's a big red flag.
I mean, yeah, if you have 4 eyes. Red flag.
Why? I'm for neither of us are wearing our glasses.
Jack is very much, she gives me like the oldest sister vibes that turns into a mother, because she definitely is trying to heal all of this trauma.
Or maybe Thena.
Okay, we're talking about Ajax right now? Please check it out. In the scene where she's letting them all go, which I don't think was a great decision, because it's like they've been living for one, because look, they've been living for one purpose, and that one person's do this job, like they're soldiers. You can't just let them go. But I think there was sort of like a mix-up, because I think that was a representation of all that Ajax wanted. You know, she wanted to be human, because she's been alive for millions of years, and she knows at the end this whole world's gonna explode. This means nothing, right?
Ajax killed himself.
Suicide. What she did wasn't necessarily suicide.
Yeah, but she was killed. It was murder.
Okay.
Homicide.
Bobby did it. Bobby's actually Icarus. Yeah. I should look it up. What do all the names mean?
I know.
What does Makari mean? If it means death, would be so mad.
Makari, maybe going off of Mercury, which was Hermes' name, and she's really fast, like Hermes was the messenger god.
Okay. I think we need to address the fact that it is 12 o'clock at night. I have school tomorrow. So here's the thing. Where was I? Yeah, we're talking about Ajax. So
You have not eaten your popcorn in like a while.
like my brains, my crumple is moving like this. And it's also like, okay. I need a lot of time to process. We don't have a script. Okay, we're just talking. So let's go to the next one. Icarus. We all know Icarus. The guy who, he literally flew up in the sun. Icarus, is very much the man who strived to do too much, got a little boastful, prideful, and then he died. I hate Icarus. This is an Icarus hate club.
Icarus, Sprite, Airsham, Hate Club.
Okay.
You know, we were disappointed.
Yeah, we'll get into that. I'm joking.
That one was a little 30. Oh my gosh, the other day I was walking through the dining room and I heard somebody cough. I was like, oh, get that Rona cough out of here, man.
And it was like, so their tongue sticks out because of that.
When you hear the phlegm coming up,
When little kids cough and they're with their throat, it's like,
I've never seen that before.
Okay.
I just had somebody coughing in their hand and stuff, then they went to give me their card. I was like,
okay. What are we talking about? Icarus. Okay. I mean, he's kind of self-explanatory. He was striving to do too much. You could say he is another representation of the main interaction. The thing that changes his character a lot is the disappointment he has. He's disappointed in Ajax. This is where it kind of strays from kind of the actual natural like family dynamic, because we're not natural, but do not. This is where Eternal strays from like the toxic to abusive. Because while Ajax doesn't willingly want to hurt any of them, obviously.
yeah, and Gonto is more toxic, Eternals is more like abusive.
So if you look at Erisham as a parent, he's definitely abusive. As a god, he's a bubble, not abusive.
Kitty's fighting the mattress from underneath the bed.
There's a lot of brainwashing that happens in this movie. That's like a huge part of it. There's so much brainwashing. I mean, they're literally robots that have their mind played. Spoilers! This is literally a walkthrough of the storyline. If you guys are watching this for no spoilers, leave.
Yeah, sucks.
I mean, give us the view and subscribe, but, you know, leave. What was I talking about? We were, oh yes, Icarus. So Icarus is very much disappointed by Ajax because
Ajax.
anyways. You can edit that out. Just put a little voiceover. You know what I'm saying? About like Cersei, like she looked so young, he was so old.
Camera's about to stop recording.
Okay. That's interesting.
Wait, I want to zoom in on Bobby. Yeah, with McDonald's, I found the car you're looking for. Continue with the popcorn. It fell on the floor.
She doesn't care. She eats her own poop. We need to be focused. Maybe this is why it was so easy to diagnose me.
What are you up to back there? I'm taking over the universe.
He says we need to.
Interesting.
He says we need to get our acts together for this video. And quit the bed. Okay, but look, here's the thing. Icarus. Icarus, okay, stop. You need to cut out all of these parts. Icarus. He's also a toxic ex. Something we also need to address is that Eternals doesn't have very good writing. It's very confusing.
Some of the acting was also.
Some of the line deliveries were just like, they were saying lines, they weren't feeling them. Yes, sweetie, it's okay. We know you wasted a lot of the budget on getting BTS in there. But it's okay. And Lizzo, but no, it's okay. It's okay. Just sometimes it was a little like, are you acting or are you saying lines? You know what I'm saying? Which, you know, it is what it is. It is what, I mean, it happens in every movie, you know what I mean?
And it really gave, like, group project, make a presentation, but every presentation slide was different. Like, nothing was connected.
They had 20 people writing the script and none of them were communicating. The group chat was dead. Like,
yeah, one slide was neon pink with orange font. The other one was just plain black. Nothing on it.
On one coffee. Oh.
She got the one for the boa.
Anyways.
I don't like how her legs are spread apart like that.
I usually hope she doesn't pee. Oh.
It's so cute.
I think a big fault of it is that it tried to do too much.
It's like that one BuzzFeed Unsolved meme where it's like, I connected the dots. You didn't connect anything.
Yes. Yes. Because there were so many dots to be connected that they just didn't connect. Because like, there's...
She's eating the centipede that I had to smush. It was on my
You
knee.
know what? You know what? She'll eat anything. I don't even care. I saw her chewing on my door one time. Oh, the characters. Yes. So too many characters to focus on. And then there's such a long, complicated plot that, like, I know people who have seen a lot more Marvel movies, or maybe are more, like, into Marvel movies than I am, probably understood a lot more. No. Okay. Eternals just, there's so much. There's so much behind every character, behind every plot line in the story. There's so much to unpack. And they don't focus on it enough. So especially during Cersei's part where, like, it just kind of clips to a scene where she's like, yeah, that's what happened. And they're all like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And that's like all the, like, we get the realization of them later when they're trying to formulate a plan, but we don't see them like really grieving over the fact that like, oh my gosh, like we're just robots. It just, everything is so rushed.
Good point. Because there's so much in the movie.
I know, everything is so rushed, and like, I understand that there's only so much you can do when you're introducing a new character.
At least make it into like
A series.
a mini series or something.
Yes. We need more content to understand the characters and really feel bad for them. Like, Cersei and Icarus, I didn't care. Honestly, I was like, alright, thank goodness he's gone. I know it's
was
rude
like,
because he did kill himself. but,
Icarus was a jerk and Cersei was your name.
Like, yeah, YN. Cersei was literally YN.
Druig and Makari, when they put their forehead together.
You see each other like this. The reason why I brought that up is because Icarus is a very, 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 I mean, he's evil. I mean, he's bad. I know there's gonna be a lot of apologists because for the way he's hot. Steve Madden. I think his name is. I don't know. Also,
Steve Madden.
I don't know his name. What's his name?
Richard Madden.
Richard Madden. Same thing.
Steve Madden's a designer.
Eventually, he did the right thing, but I also see him as a bit of a Judas
He
character.
did not do the right thing.
Not because. Okay, that's great. But Bobby and Totini interaction. Oh, she's grabbing him. He'll let it slide for now. But I also see him as a Judas character, like Judas the Iscariot from the Bible.
I've just been eating while you explained that.
I don't think Eternals was a bad concept. In fact, I love what they were establishing. It wasn't enough time. And everything felt like superficial and short, especially Icarus and Sprite's ending, because there was no like actual closure. You know, especially for Cersei, because at the ending Icarus is like, oh, I'm not gonna kill you. When he kills himself. There was no like Is he actually sorry? Did he come to terms with what he did? Like, there was no closure. Sprite, I didn't really like her character from the beginning. She was one of the ones that,
Just like teen angsty. That's it.
yes, I abhor her whole, like, in love with Icarus storyline. This is like the one point where they had cohesion was like, oh, she's in love with Icarus, she wants to be older, and now she finally gets to be older at the end. Okay, I like the idea of like you become immortal, you get tired of life, you want to live a normal life. I get that. It's a great storyline. But just because she's in love with a guy, what I wanted to see from Sprite was a lot more like the thing Pevin sees, coming back from Language in the Wardrobe and being stuck in a younger body even though they're adults. I think Sprite could have been so good and she could have been so like overly mature. I think they pulled on like the angsty, immature teen who slams doors on their parents' faces just because they're mad. She could have been so interesting. Instead they gave her like oh, she's Tinkerbell. Like, I really hate the fact that she was Tinkerbell and not Captain Hook. Because in the original story, Captain Hook was captured by Peter Pan, like, to become one of his lost boys. But then wanted to grow old. You know? So it's really frustrating. Thena. Where to start?
Don't that was funny, bro.
Which was funny. It was kind of like that banter over the dinner table. Where they're talking and they're like kind of like bantering around.
It's a shark.
Get some water. Like, oh, spit it out. I mean, it just kind of goes down. Just chug.
What was the word? Alright guys, keep rolling, we're good.
While I love the idea of like the war-torn hero, it's the MW Wilder, like I don't know. Yeah, that. Whatever it's called.
Again.
Having popcorn. Here, Doki, have popcorn.
PV, get a frat party. When they try to rip you. Roofies? Not in here. No.
It has been at least 30 minutes of me just talking random crap. Where are we? Thena. I love the idea of the war-torn hero. I think they had a great idea. With, especially her and Gilgamesh, I loved the dynamic. Because we need more friendly relationships between man and woman. Because that can happen all the time. You don't need to have romance to feel comforted. Okay? If you just make any kind of jokes about like, yeah, yada yada yada, she's kind of weak. Thena sits at the head of the table. Okay? Everyone still looks at her as being very strong. Everyone still treats Thena the same. Like, they tell her what's going to happen.
At first, especially when they meet up with all them again, Thena was kind of giving like, I'm a damaged, empty shell of what I used to be. I didn't like that.
I get it. They didn't have time. Which is the major problem with this whole movie. They just didn't have time. If this were a TV series, I would want like a couple of episodes showing Thea's development, because it takes a while to heal, especially when you don't like, you have like some crippling illness.
Or was this PTSD for her?
Which is also a very interesting concept, which I'm not really awake enough to like really dig into. But like, it's an interesting concept. There was, you know, she's the war-torn hero. It's an illness. Like, they think of it as simply an illness, and when they find out that it's actually like, it's not just an illness, they still treat her the same way, even though it's technically like just PTSD and stuff. Yeah, not just PTSD, but not like a physical illness. I like the way that they still treat it the same way, even when it's like a mental thing. Because a lot of people would still look down and be like, oh, well, she's just depressed. Get over it.
Be happy.
Just smile. It'll all go away soon.
Lonely? Huh, just make some friends.
Sad? Kill for Bobby. Bobby accepts anyone. Love is love. Anyways, here's the thing. It's so insane to me. In almost every single hero, like superhero show you get, especially with Marvel, like Spider-Man. This is modern society. There's therapy out there. Get it. Like, I get the end of the world's coming. text her. They have phones. Text your therapist. Be like, hey girlie, just met up with my old family. They're gonna be like, oh, that's great. Should we talk about your mommy issues? Stop having superheroes take on so much trauma that eventually they crash and break, and at the end of the movie is, oh, so happy. I still have a family though, so everything is fine. No, because I think they still.
Are you on my point?
Gilgamesh doesn't have the outsider's perspective and professional perspective to be like, hey, it's okay. This is why, yada yada yada. Like, he has the personal idea of like, we're going through the same thing, I'm here for you, but he can't talk her through it like a therapist could. You know, it's like having like a best friend who's also depressed, and you guys just kind of hang out together sometimes because you understand each other, but you don't actually actively seeking out help. I really don't like what they did with Thanos' character. There were some moments where I got a little uncomfortably like almost sexual, and was just like, we didn't need to do that. We could have cut that out. We don't need that. Which is further frustrating because she is also a woman, so it's like, stop it, please stop it. It's annoying. We've had enough of women or objects. She's just plastic, one-dimensional, only really there to like be mentally ill. You know, it was just very frustrating. So that's her. Great character. I loved him. He was so funny. I love the representation that they're giving to this because he's very emotionally in tune, and I like that. That he's not just some awkward big brother like, oh, someone's crying, I don't know what to do. You know, like, he actually understands emotions, and it's so great to see from a really strong male character, especially because his power is like strength, okay? So I really like that they didn't make him just some himbo, you know what I mean? I'm also really glad that they didn't have any kind of like cheap jokes and like, oh, he's baking a pie, yada yada, oh, he's so girly, yeah. I'm really also glad that they didn't kill him off. Like, wait, did he die? Oh, never mind. I really don't like how they killed him off. Very frustrating because, look, Athena's been through enough. He shouldn't have died. He really shouldn't have. I mean, it did nothing. Because Athena was already struggling. Cersei, literally whining. If you've read any single One Direction fanfic, I mean, she screamed it, okay? Even her outfits. Just, again, she's another product of the fact that they just didn't have enough time. Even though the whole movie pretty much centered around her, there just wasn't enough time. Actually, I can't even really make a solid basis of her character. I mean, she was just she definitely served as a tool for Icarus to look more evil. Because she's such a good character, she's so nice, she's found love somewhere else. She has like interest, and she's such a great character. But she came off as so whiny sometimes. And whether that's the lines she was given, just the way she said them, she just comes off as very whiny and like, I don't think I'm ready for this. And then there's the whole dynamic where like Icarus is supposed to be a leader, and then Cersei, she's the leader and everything. She's not ready for it, which is perfectly fine. But she was chosen as a leader because she loved things. And I think the reason why she couldn't turn living people into objects is because that went against her morals of love. At the end, that's how they ended up winning, was her kind of throwing away her morals and turning something living, which is still celestial being, into an object, or like freezing in time so it doesn't really live. Didn't like that. Makari, we didn't see anything of her. Again, there just wasn't enough time. We didn't see anything of her. She's such a great character. We love her, honestly. I don't think there's really a single flaw in her character. It's just that we didn't see enough of her. Her and Drake's romance, amazing. Kingo, again, great character. Really wish they would have expanded on his and Sprite's thing where he left her behind. Like,
for
why did
following
he?
Icarus.
Yes, and also reasoning for hiding Icarus. I also would have liked the dynamic kind of between Icarus, what's his name? Kingo and Sprite, where like he'd do anything for Icarus, but he left Sprite behind, so maybe there's kind of like an animosity between Icarus and Sprite, but that's never looked into, like all this stuff. So I didn't like how they didn't give it any characterization to him. Loved him though, but definitely he was the comedy relief, you know? Hated that. I wish there would have been more like, he's always wanted to be Icarus, maybe that's why he follows him, that's why he plays him in the movies, just things like that. Druig. What'd you say Druig's name was based on?
It was based on like, just direct of the name, like dragon.
Dragon. So Druig, he has the power to manipulate people. Again, obviously like all the other characters, he needed more time to develop his character, but I kind of see it is very much dragon-like in the sense that he's a bit greedy. You know, he becomes a bit power-hungry. But we don't really get, like, a solid reason why. Did he just go crazy from power? It seems like there's so many things going on in his head that don't really come together. But I really would have wanted to see more of him coming to terms that he can control people. You know, maybe being a little bit scared of him. Things like that. Maybe they don't love him as much as they love Thena, because he controls you, manipulates them, takes away their free will. Things like that. But we didn't get that. And even the whole thing where he passes off to Cersei, he's like, I can't do it. I think it would have been so much better if Druid did it, if he took care of the Celestial. Because this whole Unimind brainstorming thing, it was just a cheap out.
It was very much like, oh, yeah, that makes complete sense for, like, you know, Druid to just talk the thing to sleep. But then it was kind of like, oh, but Cersei is YN.
We could have had a whole arc where he goes kind of crazy from power beyond just controlling an entire society, because I think he also has major control issues and maybe a god complex too. This is the whole thing where it kind of turns into like the dream. Yeah, okay. Instead we got Cersei coming together and throwing away her morals and doing all this stuff. And maybe that was different to other people, because then, like I said, these characters are so plastic that you can really make any type of conclusion about any of them. Really. I mean, you could say anything. You could say Gerst was actually the hero of the story. I mean, there's just nothing there. There's really nothing to analyze. Ultimately, Eternals was just full of a lot of cliches. I think it tried very much to not be the classic superhero movie by being very complex, but being just a movie too complex. There was too much going on. I think it would have been very interesting if they wanted to go the deep route where like everything's a problem and it's, you know, all these characters have such rich, sad backstories. I think it would be very interesting if they failed to save. Would have been so much better than having Gilgamesh die so Athena could be more sad. It'd be very interesting if we got like a whole TV series out of this. There's second season, 2 seasons in, and then the end of the world's coming, and it does end. The Celestial being does awaken. And we're kind of left with the fact maybe Druid goes crazy and loses control of the Celestial being. It takes over the whole world. You know, Icarus is finally triumphant. He's finally done something. He's done his purpose. And they're sent back to the ship. They come out again. They're all new and fresh, but maybe they all suffer from the Mata-wielder, things like that, because that ending would have been so good. We didn't have to suffer through Cersei doing whatever the heck she was doing, you know. Druid could have gotten more character development. It got a whole little like prison arc kind of thing, but we didn't, and it was just kind of another like cop out almost. Like, oh well, they stopped it, so everything's fine. I think it would have been so interesting if they didn't, though. You know. That's it. That's all I had to say. It is 1 in the morning. I am going to bed. This is me watching off. Maybe I'll do it better tomorrow. Who knows? And the video. Right there. Who's in the video? This is getting awkward. Who's in the video? Who's in the video? Please in the video.